Okay, so we're back. So, I'm thinking about trying something new. And by trying something new, I mean... I don't know. I don't think I want to... I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure about gutting a deck. And I've been playing with these decks up here. But I feel like the easiest way to do something is just, let's just build a new deck. Like, let's just build a new standard deck real quick.
You already know Farah's mom is fellow hero Anna, who, like Soldier 76, was a founding member of Overwatch back before it fell from
So yeah, I just know I'm gonna go with white. No question about anything in my mind.
Various in-game voice lines goings on behind
some just tell me that I feel like I kind of want to build a
and whatever the relationship status of Anna and Soldier 76 now, they do
Azorius, right?
Interactions in their contextual voice lines, in which Anna tells 76 he's still looking good after all these years.
Okay, so
you're looking pretty good, Jack.
I mean, I don't know how you can tell with the mask. I mean, it's just the cool white hair. Speaking of, after all these years, Soldier 76 is canonically about 55 in the time when the game takes place. Anna is about 60, and Farah is 32, so that at least checks out. There was also one time when Blizzard seemed to officially respond to a commenter with confirmation that 76 is the daddy. But this was later retracted. So, somebody said too much? Or just a misunderstanding? What's interesting is that although you and I don't know who Farah's father is, the official word is that Farah herself does know who it is. It just hasn't been revealed to the players. Which is nice for her in that she's not going to wind up like Luke Skywalker in a fight with a dude who turns out to have been secretly her dad. But what about me, Blizzard? How will I know if my Farah of Young 76 and Anna making out is canon?
Paul Phelps, LAPD. I understand you're a friend of Adrian Black. Yeah, I know. Are you aware that he's missing? No, I hadn't heard that. Tough.
LA, New York.
And publisher Rockstar tend to share a lot of themes. Third-person action, large open-world sandboxes, and reckless driving. Yes, even in Bully.
Do you know what you just did? Do you?
How is that thing even street legal? Fans have uncovered plenty of evidence to suggest that many of Rockstar's games share the same universe as well. Naturally, Red Dead Redemption followed the life of John Marston in 1911, but in LA Noire, set in 1947, you can find John Marston's hat discarded in a garbage can and inspect it to your heart's content.
Okay, that's too many land.
Yeah, it's a hack. Oh. Red Dead also pops up in Grand Theft Auto 5 with this book written by one J. Marston on the bookshelf in Franklin's Swiss apartment. Fans reckon it's a book written by Jack Marston.
Okay, so yeah, I've done nothing but add land. This is just a awkward place to start with deck construction, I know. But I'm gonna build around my planeswalkers. I think I will try Azorius Super Friends. Shit.
Mikey, bro, what was your first bank store? 88. Outskirts of Carcer City.
That's approximately 15 years before it canonically turned into a city-sized prison full of murderous maniacs in time for Manhunt, Timeline fans. Even Bully fits into this universe with the appearance of Bully's Bullworth Academy in the Grand Theft Auto 4 TV show I'm Rich.
Her daddy gave her a pair of diamond miners for her 12th birthday, and after she could walk again, sent her to 15 of the most exclusive boarding schools all at the same time, and got her a treehouse with servants.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna craft a safari.
Los Santos, and other very similar cities of New York and Liberty City. It was all a dream? A wizard did it?
Okay, so what's next?
The The Bioshock series, with its ambiguities, complex themes, and bonkers twists, is practically made to generate fan theories. There's the one about how Booker DeWitt is Andy Ryan, the one about Lady Comstock being an alternate version of Anna's mother, and the one about how Elizabeth is actually 11 cats in a dress. I came up with that one. I didn't say it was any good. The funnest theory around which to wrap your brain, though, is the theory that Booker DeWitt is Songbird. In Bioshock Infinite, Songbird is a giant mechanical bird that spends most of its time smashing through walls, screeching, and trying to kill you. He's also apparently got a sideline in murdering children. Yikes. Songbird isn't all about smashing buildings and dropping children, though. He mostly serves as Elizabeth's jailer, making sure she doesn't escape from her tower, which is probably why he's so miffed when he turns up and she escapes from her tower.
Hurry!
Later in the game, you discover Songbird isn't a robot after all. Like the Big Daddies of the original Bioshock, Songbird is actually a fusion of human and machine, with an actual person at the core of its whole giant metal bird deal. This fan theory takes that as its starting point and goes on to ask, what if the Songbird was another Booker DeWitt? We've already got two Booker DeWitts running around in this reality, the one we're playing as, and the one known around Columbia as Zachary Hale Comstock with his accelerated aging process. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that there could be a third Booker in Columbia, and if Comstock was trying to create a bond between Elizabeth and her captor, it might make sense for him to go as far as using another version of himself to make Songbird as paternal as possible. And in terms of despicable stuff Comstock's done, it would probably rank somewhere in the middle. We also need to look at the way all three characters die in Bioshock Infinite. Booker drowns in a river. Comstock drowns in a baptismal font.
Stop it!
And Songbird drowns in the depths of the ocean around Rapture after Elizabeth transports him there. Is Booker's death by drowning one of the multi-universe constants that Elizabeth refers to? And if so, does that mean that Songbird is another Booker from another dimension?
Something's missing as far as enchantment.
Protective of her now he's been given another chance.
Enchantment,
a massive robot bird. Although I don't know why he's so keen to protect Elizabeth. After all, he's just 11 cats in a dress.
No, there's another counterspell that's missing.
Final Fantasy VIII follows the life of 90s boy band Dreamboat Paul Leonhardt over 4 discs of RPG questing. Or does it? You see, many fans of the game are convinced that Squall's life actually ends during the parade right at the end of Disc 1. They are so convinced they made a website dedicated to the theory, www.squallsdead.com. Here it goes that at the end of the first disc, when the sorceress Sophia impales Squall with a giant javelin made of ice and he falls off the parade float, that's not something he'd be able to walk away from. When he wakes up in Disc 2, seemingly uninjured, no one in the game ever mentions what happened at the parade again. Maybe.
Actually, I feel like I might just be making this a mono blue deck.
And everyone's too polite to mention it. Like, his trousers fell down in front of everyone, and that's his worst fear. And that's why he wears 3 separate belts.
Like,
alright, that's the actual fan theory.
Other than the Planeswalker.
After Squall's theoretical death, the game gets comparatively weird, with Squall and Renoa travelling to space and chatting to talking lions. Although these guys have presumably played a Final Fantasy game before. I mean, in terms of weirdness, this ranks somewhere in the middle. If you are a believer, though, all this stuff, plus a seriously strange game ending that appears to be Squall's life flashing before his eyes, suggests that Squall dies at the end of the first disc, and the rest of the game are his literal Final Fantasy, which is to say, the other 3 discs are Squall's dying dreams played out during his final moments, which makes for a solid 30 hours of dying dreams. Sure he died of ice javelin or just all those? You remember the Reapers from Mass Effect? Big, evil, talking spaceships? Yeah, you do. Right from the first Mass Effect, we're told one of the ways in which Reapers go about galactic domination is with a kind of insidious mind control called indoctrination. That's how they turn hoverboarding jerk Saren into their puppet in the first game, even while he still thought he was acting of his own free will.
You don't understand, Shepard. There is a place for organics in the New Order. The Reapers need men and women of action. People like us.
So what if Shepard spent most of Mass Effect 3 being indoctrinated by the Reapers? Now, Andy, I hear you cry, that's a ludicrous theory, you handsome idiot. But hear me out. Imagine that right from the off in Game 3, Shepard is subject to the initially subtle brainwashing of Reaper indoctrination in the form of this generic human kid. What if he only looks like a generic human kid, but is, in fact, an indoctrination-induced hallucination designed to manipulate Shepard towards the Reaper's endgame? Shepard encounters the boy early in the game, and at no point does any other character interact with or even acknowledge this kid. After Shepard sees the kid get killed, or thinks that's what he sees, the same kid haunts his guilty dreams. And eventually that same kid is the holographic-looking avatar chosen by the big boss AI behind the Reapers, aka the Catalyst.
I was created to bring balance, to be the catalyst for peace between organics and synthetics.
Coincidence? Don't make me laugh, generic human kid, I'm onto you. In this fan theory, towards the end of Mass Effect 3, Shep takes a serious beating on his way to the Citadel. From this point, the theory goes, the finale is actually Shepard symbolically fighting the final stages of the indoctrination process in his own head.
Synthesis.
And that is?
Add your energy to the crucibles. The chain reaction will combine all synthetic and organic life into a new framework. A new DNA.
The theory goes that in this sequence, Shepard, and therefore the player, is urged by the Reapers and their sneaky mind control to choose the supposedly happy ending of synthesis, in which organic and synthetic life are merged. Which, hello, merging organic and synthetic life is the Reapers' whole deal? Well, isn't that convenient, the Reapers? If the theory holds, then maybe selecting the destroy option is equivalent to saying, no thanks, the Reapers, I know your game, breaking free of indoctrination, and, just maybe, waking up in a pile of Earth rubble. Yeah, nice try, the Reapers. What you didn't count on is, as a matter of policy, I don't trust any human children. Yeah, that's right, I've seen The Omen, and The Shining, and Children of the Corn, and Village of the Damned, and The Grudge, and The Ring, and I've played Resident Evil 7.
Alright, listen up. In my defence, I didn't draw this. Andy drew it. Andy drew it. And look, he drew a mask on 76, which he would not have had at the time of this possible canonical making up.
Are there any other videos?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. There are several more videos here on Outside Xbox. You can watch some of them right now up here. And there's also videos from Outside Extra. That's Luke and Ellen down here. And also maybe don't hit the glowing subscribe button right here, because who knows what might happen.
This is a hot garbage mess. I'm well aware of it.
Fanservice is when a thing is designed above all else to please its fans, and it turns out that what pleases those fans can be some pretty weird, pretty great stuff. You can see here how video game fanservice is often delivered in packages of downloadable content, which goes to show fanservice isn't always a special episode where everyone turns up in swimsuits to go to the beach. Oh sure, when they do it, it's fanservice. When I do it, it's that's not appropriate attire for the workplace, Andy. This one's a following
Shepard, you need
Oh wow, that's a nice breath
breath
effect.
Clear your head. That's very generous. It's practical. We need you in the best shape possible. Rest. Focus.
We all need a vacation from time to time, and more so than Mass Effect's Commander Shepard, who works harder down the Normandy's bed springs.
I like your outfit.
To that end, Citadel is a deliciously cheesy wedge of story DLC in which your Shepard Takes a welcome break from the rigours of saving the galaxy from that ancient force of cybernetic space squids, the Reapers. They've been waiting 50,000 years. They can wait a little bit longer while I go on a 3-day bender.
What sort of party are you hoping to have tonight, Commander?
I think it's time to blow off some steam.
To this day, we can't be sure Mass Effect 3 Citadel wasn't the result of a professional DLC writer bumping into a Mass Effect fanfiction writer. And then they both drop their notes on the floor, and then they each pick up the wrong notes, and then the fanfiction stuff gets made into the most delightful 4-hour DLC we've ever played.
Captain on deck!
Has he always been like this? Meanwhile, my favourite fanfiction website publishes a pack of 7 new weapons and 2 multiplayer maps. Oh, hot. Oh, that was great. Oh, yeah. So, back on the utopian space station hub that is the Citadel, get your best order this is on our Shepherd's dream vacation wish list. This means meeting Joker.
So I just did really rush haphazard construction.
Sushi place is serious. Like, French guy at the door serious.
Beating protein shake connoisseur James Vega in a chin-up contest.
You know my record is 182. You think you can beat it?
And throwing the house party to end all house parties for the crew of the Normandy. Shepherd shuffling and having makeouts at a ritzy apartment donated by Admiral Anderson.
I want you to have it. Take it off my
Pretty
He's probably still grateful when I got him that cushy job as leader of the council at the end of Mass Effect. After I let the previous council get blown up. You're welcome.
Never thought about that.
The Dead Rising series has always been known for its winks to other Capcom games, from the Cerbot heads, flanker masks, to a lunch spot called Jill's Sandwiches. But one piece of DLC for Dead Rising 3 really took the cake. I am, of course, talking about Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha. This DLC was a 4-player co-op beat-em-up starring Dead Rising regulars with Ramos, Annie, Chuck Green, and Frank West, and contained more knowing references than a university dissertation. Each character has 4 unlockable outfits based on Capcom characters, including Final Fight's Hagar, Darkstalker's Felicia and BB Hood, and Street Fighter's Ryu and Chun-Li, as well as some deeper cuts such as Shoma from Rival Schools, Regina from Dino Crisis, and Captain Commando from the side-scrolling beat-em-up of the same name. It even let you play as Tofu, the secret unlockable ship survivor from Resident Evil 2, who was a sentient block of bean curd. Finally! Thank you, Super Ultra...
Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha!
Right. Throughout the DLC, you face off against multiple Capcom enemies such as Akuma from Street Fighter and the Big Star from Final Fight. And the final boss is a zombie version of Ed Bison from Street Fighter. While all this fan service is greatly appreciated, I think we can all agree that we never need to see Frank West with his top off again. That is not what I meant, Capcom.
What's initiative?
It says which order we attack.
I punched the initiative. What's going on? I wasn't paying attention.
You know,
I need my asshole waxed.
Bunkers and badasses!
If you're an enormous nerd like me, there's a good chance you'll enjoy both cartoony sci-fi and Dungeons and Dragons. Let me tell you about my level 1 Dragonborn paladin. Oh. That's why the Borderlands 2 DLC called Tiny Tina's Assault on the Dragon Troop brings extra photos, hosting a blend of shooting and sarcasm perfected in the main game and framing it within a campaign of Dungeons and Dragons, or as it's called here, Bunkers and Badass. Stand down, copyright. Your Dungeon Master for the DLC is explosives enthusiast Tiny Tina, and her style of dungeon mastering is what we like to call basically just making the whole thing up as you go along.
Okay.
I love her. I want to.
About a new boss. Skeleton. And his name is...
Well, that's stupid. We would call it self-based tone, leg. One of them, look. Naturally, the enemies are straight out of central casting for fancy nonsense. The locations have dramatic medieval-sounding names like Flame Rock Keep. And yes, in true D&D style, there are only attempts with a British accent.
I talk to her. In character.
Hello, lady. What is wrong?
What follows is an hour and a half of everything we love about Dungeons and Dragons, combined with everything we love about shooting things in space. If you're a fan of group culture in general, it's about as good as Borderlands gets.
Mayhaps if you talk to the dwarves, you could join forces and become unstoppable.
Don't worry, boys. My charisma is off the charts. I'll convince him to...
Lily. Whoever rolls highest
What, is it just me, or is there a distinct Dark Souls vibe to the world design? Valley of the Drakes? Lost is a Lick? Anor Londo? No?
I would be broke because I would have spent all my money there. I would also accept it would make for the most fan-servicey Overwatch map of all time, however, as that is also correct. A fact that becomes apparent the moment you fire up a game. That's because the map is as crammed with fan-pleasing references as a World of Warcraft mage's inventory is crammed with mana potions.
Okay, no one gets your World of Warcraft references. I'm referring you to my earlier comment.
If you're anything like me, you'll get plenty out of this map from the Hearthstone Tavern with snacks from our snack bar, where guests can chow down on death rings, to the heroes of the Storm Arcade, where Sombra seems to have somehow posted a high score of 9,999 points. I call hacks. The park's rides include World of Warcraft references Flight to Duskwood and Fargo Deep Mine, and the Diablo-inspired Reign of the Black King, and the whole land dedicated to StarCraft, if you prefer your Blizzard with a sci-fi flavour. In fact, the only Blizzard game that's slightly hard done by is the Lost Vikings, which is relegated to the Lost Property Office. But I guess you won't use it. You remember to keep your Bay loggings with you.
I told you, no one gets your Lost Vikings references.
Let's not build that real-life Blizzard world soon enough.
Spent so many hours in here, dreaming of my own adventures. Falling apart. Maybe I should just let my uncle have this place.
Ask any Tomb Raider fan what the best bit of Tomb Raider is, and they'll tell you it's running around Croft Manor, looking for secrets, trying to kill yourself, and messing with the butler. And so the tombs are all right. That's why so many fans were disappointed that Croft Manor, the ancestral home of the Croft family, didn't make a playable experience in Lara's most recent outing, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Sure, it showed up in cutscenes, but it was nothing more than a different backdrop for Lara to get choked out against, like she does in 70% of Tomb Raider cutscenes. Anyway, that's why we were so stoked about the game's Blood Ties DLC, which took Lara back to the manor to search for the final resting place of her grandmother, who her dad had apparently secretly hidden somewhere in their house, because that's normal to find. The DLC is essentially a treasure hunt around Croft Manor, filled with cool puzzles, backstory about Lara's past, and fan-pleasing Easter eggs, including music from Tomb Raider 2, Lara's old bows, and the dinosaur. Our favourite bit of fan service, however, is the letter from Winston the butler to Lara's father, explaining how Lara had locked him in the walk-in freezer, something that every single person who played Tomb Raider 2 did. Don't lie.
Later in the day, she set a trap. Before I knew what was happening, I found myself locked inside.
Good thing we never found any more of his letters.
I think this letter finds you well. Today, Lara jumped in and out of the pool 100 times because she read on an internet forum that you could make your clothes. Please, consider a call as soon as you're able.
The Sims 4 Laundry Day Stuff DLC is the very definition of fan service, because EA actually asked the fans what they wanted it to be. Wow, that's brave. Every element of the Laundry Day Stuff DLC was decided in 6 rounds of voting, with over 750,000 votes cast, for everything from the art style right down to the iPod. Well, that's easy. Oh, no, wait. Oh, they're all really good. Stop. Final answer. Right, on with the video. Woo! Archer! Included in the pack were rustic furnishings and country-style outfits, but the key addition to gameplay, as decided by the fans, was the ability to wash, dry, and wait for it, fold your clothing, adding an extra layer of the humdrum busywork that makes the Sims so weirdly compelling. All for the very reasonable price of $9.99. And you can tell the Laundry Day Stuff DLC was a big deal for the Sims 4 community from the euphoric trailer. Oh, to joy! My laundry hasn't been this exciting since I caught that red sock in the whitewash at the very last second. The existence of the Laundry Day pack is even more amazing when you consider the other voting options on the table, including a wedding student pack or one inspired by 1980s arcade culture. How often does a games community actually get to steer the development of the DLC pack with this level of control? Not often. The biggest revelation, though, is that the thing voters wanted to do most in the world was laundry. Tons of laundry you can do. Weeks worth. I won't even charge you the $10. Hey, fine.
The girl promised me a way out, and I was desperate enough to believe her.
With its backdrop of infinite alternate universes, Bioshock Infinite is the perfect jumping-off point for DLC, which takes the original story and characters and says, great, what if this, but completely different? Thus, we have Burial at Sea, which is proof at last that Bioshock creator Ken Levine has been getting our letters requesting genre-shifting crossover DLC with cool makeovers of our favourite characters.
If I wanted to share my life story, Mr. DeWitt, I would write my memoirs. If I learned anything about Rapture, that it was a place where people understood to mind their own business.
In Burial at Sea, Bioshock Infinite's tower-dwelling quasi-Disney Princess Elizabeth is transformed into a sultry femme fatale.
You got a name, miss?
Elizabeth.
And heretofore protagonist, Booker DeWitt, has somehow become a film noirish private detective.
Top friend of mine. Sullivan. We found him floating in the docks.
Did you see the body?
Look.
Did you see the body?
And the whole shebang is set in Rapture, the city from the original Bioshock that was built by objectivists under the sea, because, like Sebastian off The Little Mermaid, they believe it's better down where it's wetter.
What are they?
Where have you been? Cabin in Arcadia? Little sisters. Atom factories.
It's grotesque.
In its continuing commitment to fan service, Burial at Sea also packs in a first-person lobotomy. Sure, I guess someone's into that.
Orbital lobotomy.
Take hold of her, lads.
And a visit to your sex job. Man, is there anything they couldn't do with plasmids?
This is here from sight. Take you long and sneak up on your phone.
I don't know what the hell's gotten into you sick, crazy bastards or what I've done to you, but I'm going to get help. Stay calm.
At the peak of Red Dead Redemption's popularity, there was one thing Red Dead Redemption fans wanted more than anything else in the world, and that was DLC that brought John Marston back to life.
There's a DLC that brings John Marston back to life? I'll pay anything!
See? Although Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare DLC didn't quite resurrect John and wipe all traces of Jack Marston from your hard drive, it did bring him back as the player character of a brand new chunk of story DLC set in that most fan-servicing of settings, a zombie apocalypse. Make no mistake, this DLC was wall-to-wall fan service, from the killing off of hated characters from the single-player campaign, to the awesome new mount based on the horses of the apocalypse.
Relax now. Nearly there.
To the ability to finally find and hunt Sasquatches, something Rockstar fans have been trying to do ever since Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
I got one, mister. Hey, I got one.
Got what, mister?
Well, Sasquatch, a filthy thing was going to eat my dog when this girl hollered out, and I shot this thing right through the heart.
And the Fiesta resistance was, as it so often is, a rideable unicorn. Finding and pinning this mythical beast even got you an achievement called Fan Service. I mean, shame us all you want, Rockstar, we don't care. It's our unicorn. Undead Nightmare eventually ends the way the original Red Dead does, with John Marston's death. But instead of making us play on as Jack Marston, it has John fight his way out of his grave and carry on as a living corpse. This, if Andy had had his way, is what would have happened in the main game. Right. See?
Wow, all those DLCs were good, weren't they? They were fun to think about all the fan service that went on. There was a past, there wasn't DLC, was there? You just had secret levels.
Yeah,
and that's what this video up here I'm not talking about. Secret levels, the would be DLC nowadays. But if you don't fancy hearing more about DLC, you've got something completely different. Down here is a video from Outside Extra about creepy Pokemon backstories. They look cute, they're not. Weird stuff going on. So yeah, have a look at that.
Fuck, I need new pillows.
We've all had to overcome challenges in video games, be they tough bosses or difficult puzzles, or not spending all of our money on microtransactions in free-to-play mobile games.
Repo man, really get a chair?
Talk about this later. Sometimes, however, the hardest hurdles to overcome are to do something you don't want to do in order to succeed, and are left with only two options: do the horrible thing, or eject the game disc and throw it in the bin. Here are times we seriously contemplated doing the latter. Enjoy and beware major spoilers ahead for the following games.
Desmond, we can't climb this.
How about you give me a boost?
That's a bad idea.
I could throw you into the air and you grab the ledge.
Even worse.
Lucy Stillman from the early Assassin's Creed games was definitely our favourite member of Desmond's Scooby Gang of Bonding Day assassins. Mainly because she wasn't Sean Hastings.
Good job.
It wasn't like a winner, shall we? Yeah or no? With massive targets painted on our backs?
Quiet, Sean. Even when it turned out that Lucy was secretly working with the Templars to betray the Assassin Order, we knew that deep down she was conflicted, and her will-they-won't-they relationship with Desmond was something we were keen to see develop over subsequent Assassin's Creed games.
No, didn't she kill him?
Awesome.
Or at least we were keen, until the game made us stab her. At the end of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, after platforming through an unused Tron set, Desmond discovers an apple of Eden and decides to put his hands all over it.
I know this. That's a Phrygian cap. It stands for freedom. And that's a Masonic eye.
Sean, not now. The upshot of this decision is that time freezes and Desmond finds himself possessed by Juno, one of the surviving members of the first civilization, who recognises Lucy as a traitor and wants to use Desmond to make sure that Lucy doesn't jeopardise the plan. Stop, please. Come on, Desmond, resist. Or at least, pivot a bit to the left and maybe for Sean instead. Hey? No! Still, this is all down to Juno up to this point, so there's nothing you can do about it. That is until the game gives you the prompt to press any button. Oh, okay, so now this is on me. Is it Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? Or what if I don't press any button at all? How about that? Okay, fine.
It is done.
I'm only doing this because I get to be a pirate in the portal.
The vital apparatus stent will deliver a weighted companion key in 3, 2, 1.
Oscar Wilde wrote that each man kills the things he loves, which explains why total lack of success is health fun. In a similar vein, there's Portal. The game is a pretty lonely experience, given how you're the solitary test subject in a deserted lab, and your only company is an AI who skipped the day they covered Asimov's laws of robotics at AI school.
The Enrichment Center is required to remind you that you will be paid, and then there will be cake.
That might be why we glom so hard onto the weighted companion cube when GLaDOS introduces us.
This weighted companion cube will accompany you through the test chamber.
The companion cube is less of a sentient ally and more of an inanimate science box. But at this point in our isolation, a crate with hearts becomes a dearer friend than all our childhood pets combined. Even Monty the Golden Retriever, who would sing Bark Jingle Bells at Christmas. He was such a good dog. Anyway, then after you and your boxy buddy have made great puzzle progress and strides in human-cuboid relations, this happens.
You did it. The weighted companion cube certainly brought you good luck. However, it cannot accompany you for the rest of the test and, unfortunately, must be euthanized. Please escort your companion cube to the Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator.
It turns out your emotional attachment to the cube versus your resolve to complete tests is just another variable in GLaDOS' testing regime. Or possibly she's just having a right laugh.
While it is companion, your companion cube cannot accompany you for the rest of the test. If it could not, and the Enrichment Center continue to believe that it cannot, it will tell you to go on without it because they become a burden to you.
In any case, because of Oscar Wilde, you've literally no choice but to dump your new and best friend in the laboratory grade fire pit.
Although you want to utilize your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test with bilateral congratulations.
Just like Monty all over again. At least that's what Mum told me last week. Now that I say it out loud, seems kind of unlikely. I'm sure this one to the
Hey. Hey. Yeah. Easy. Listen, thanks. Don't let me.
Yes, who escape from prison together and form an unbreakable bond that carries them through their adventures as they travel to Mexico to kill a crime lord, stopping only to play darts and baseball and go on swings together.
The hell are we doing? Oh, down first. Well, I did it. Yeah, you did.
Alright, almost done with things here. It's adorable. Vincent and Leo are bros, is what I'm saying, which is why it comes as such a shock when you return from Mexico after killing the crime lord and don't open a small artisanal bakery together, but instead, it turns out that Vincent is a cop and he's going to arrest Leo now. Thanks. What follows is a bigger rumble in the finals of the world's strongest carpet salesman. As all of a sudden, you and your co-op partner are thrown into opposition with each other in a grim death match that only one of you can walk away from.
Here you go. Good job, Vincent.
I'm sorry, Leo.
At this point in A Way Out, I really felt like Vincent and Leo were past this. Surely there was another option, a way out, so to speak, where these two talked through their differences and Vincent decided that just this time, maybe, he'd let a criminal go free because he'd learned a lesson from their adventures together and was a changed man? Nope, super keen on shooting. Eventually, you wind up in a final showdown. Whichever one of you is first to get the gun is given a prompt to raise the gun and kill their former comrade. To which I say, come on, A Way Out. Both these guys are decent people. Both of them have kids. And do you really want to let either of them die with that facial hair situation? Guess so. This needed to happen. There was no reason for Vincent to reveal that he was an undercover cop in front of Leo. If the 5-0 just kept up the charade long enough for them both be arrested and separated, Vincent could just go home. Anyway, if you want to finish the game, you have to go through with it, which is tragic, but at least there is one positive. Neo totally does redeem his facial hair system. Ah, he's stopping my beard. Good.
What is it?
I'm smelling it through the mask.
The rescue team reported that too. It smelled like ripe fruit. We cannot allow the infection to spread.
Metal Gear Solid 5, whose Diamond Dogs are an elite private military force who've been sent into service using balloons. Welcome to the Diamond Dogs. Despite the somewhat involuntary nature of their recruitment, most Diamond Dogs come to feel like part of the family on Mother Base. And they all have one thing in common: their unwavering respect and loyalty to the boss.
Boss, thanks for saving that puppy.
That, and a stupid nickname. Like I said, so the Diamond Dogs is one big, happily, heavily armed, and nationally unaffiliated family. Represented late in the game during the mission's shining lights even in death, when Snake is called back to Mother Base to deal with a sticky situation. It seems that while you're off having adventures with D-Dog, there is an outbreak of vocal-cord parasite infections at Mother Base.
Guess the parasites killed him. Don't touch him. He's covered in blood.
With no cure, the stricken soldiers have been thrown through the wall of the platform, and there's nothing for it but for Snake to enter the quarantine zone wearing a gas mask and personally euthanize all the infected.
You have to shoot, boss. We can't let them outside.
I mean, you just arrange something with TV and some snacks or something. Or maybe we could divert some of the money we're using to fund development of inflatable snakes into developing a cure. No, apparently letting those soldiers
I'm feeling tired.
And so Venom Snake has to go in there and dispatch them by hand, something they do not make easy on you. Your iDroid isn't helping either, announcing staff member has died and notifying you of just how much your heroism is decreasing every time. Yes, I know, iDroid. Yes, I get it. Okay, that one shot himself, so better? Not better. Worst of all, however, has to be these guys. They're all so earnest and loyal that they actually salute you.
Do I not have a Demir day?
Still, at least you managed to save this one uninfected soldier.
Got a survivor. Unlock the door.
I don't think I made it after all.
God damn it, Metal Gear.
Are you prepared to suffer to save your son? You have 5 minutes to cut off the last section of one of your fingers in front of the camera. If you succeed, you will get your reward.
In Heavy Rain, purported Andy lookalike Ethan Mars is trying to find his son Sean, who's been kidnapped by the Origami Killer. A serial killer so good, he can kill people without you knowing why you're playing as him.
So you found my little secret.
It's over, Scott. All those children killed just to find a father capable of saving his son?
Shut up! You don't understand.
Not cool, Scott. You look away for 1 second. Anyway, to discover the location where his son is being held, Ethan is forced by the Origami Killer to go through 5 trials. Because someone apparently saw Saw recently, most of these trials involve Ethan inflicting horrible pain or psychological torture on himself to prove how much he loves his son. It's the 3rd trial, named The Lizard, however, that almost made us start convincing ourselves that maybe Sean was having a nice time in a tank slowly filling with rainwater, and who were we to interfere anyway? In this trial, Ethan is given 5 minutes to cut his own finger off. A quick glance around the room reveals that it is full of implements that are almost comically unsuited to the task, such as a butcher's knife stuck into the wall, a pair of pliers in the television stand, and a pair of scissors in the bathroom. And let me tell you right now, the origami killer isn't going to fall for this. So it's my guy. While it's true that you can choose to leave the apartment and not complete a trial, each child you skip makes it harder to find Sean. And since one of the later trials asks you to actually kill someone, you might want to save your get-out clause for that.
Please don't kill me, man. I got children.
So, good luck trying to make this inescapably painful process as painless as possible. Sure, you can sugar the pill a bit, get eating some wood to bite on, down some whiskey to relieve pain, disinfect the wound or cauterize it with a heated iron rod, but the fact remains that the finger is coming off if you're really committed to getting something like a good ending.
Is John Conrad the greatest man I ever served with? I don't know.
I think it's neither nor. One question the game doesn't ask you, however, is would you like to use white phosphorus to kill a bunch of civilians? Because that is a mandatory the game. You have the choice of use white phosphorus or run back and forth along this ridge until you feel like you've got $50 worth of entertainment out of this game. Will be a while. Eventually, if you want to continue with the game, you'll have to use the white phosphorus, at which point you'll discover there's a reason that it's banned by signatory countries in the 1980 Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons Protocol. That's because it's a nightmare weapon that burns people to death, and while you think you're using it against a military target, surprise, those guys are actually helping rescue civilians, and now you're a monster.
That in order?
Yeah, it is.
Fine. Launching camera.
Set Off the Line proceeds to spend the rest of the game drowning into your actions, which we again remind you were unavoidable and we didn't want to be in the first place. How about you give us a choice next time?
Go on, Walker. Do it. Please. Why are you just standing?
Oh, okay, look at me. Look at me.
If we understood Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, and we did, the point is that ethics are mad tricky. Now, we're no strangers to pursuing an unethical course of action in the face of a mounting sense of guilt. Like the time I ate Annie's whole birthday cake. Multiply that sensation of 3 trillion times, subtract the deliciousness of stolen cake, and you've got something that approximates the experience of Shadow of the Colossus, in which you gallop around the vast, serene land, climbing vast, serene giants and killing them, which, rude. In this game, it's not that there's a single moment in which you're forced to do something you don't want to do, it's more that the whole game is a collection of moments in which you power through your growing suspicion that what you're doing isn't right and very possibly is very, very wrong. But what's your alternative option? I mean, obviously, other than the secret alternative option, where you learn the ancient language of these gentle giants, apologise for stabbing them in their Achilles tattoos, and join forces with them to destroy the temple and the morally dubious forces within. Psych! There's not really a good alternative at all. It's like with EP's birthday cake.
PC was the playable teaser for the now sadly cancelled Silent Hills. A collaboration between Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, Walking Dead star Norman Reedus, and horror manga legend Junji Ito that promised to be more nightmare-inducing than a midnight cheese binge. PvP stated as a teaser for an upcoming game, it was more of a news piece, and the site based on most of down the hallway towards Lisa, the unnatural apparition that we remind you is making sounds that indicate she isn't likely to offer you a nice cup of tea and a biscuit when you reach her. Summon enough courage to stroll down the corridor at her and you'll find the light vanity, which is of course. To murder on your own terms is completely slow. Much better to have Lisa murder you when you aren't expecting it. You know what's coming. So those are some of the awful, harrowing video game moments that we didn't want to go through with, but something you are going to want to go through with is clicking on one of these links to watch more videos. So up here is a video from Outside Extra in which we talk about the best video game adaptations we've ever seen, minus Street Fighter. Down here is a video from that evil
Dream
Thanks for watching. Like that alternate timeline where Pop-Tarts were never invented. And also there's an evil alternate Outside Extra that has goatee, and the list videos only have 6 entries. These visions of bleak and bad alternate timelines pop up pretty often in video games, giving us a gloomy glimpse of what things would be like if it weren't for video game heroes always succeeding at sorting everyone's problems. Consider these times when it was the darkest possible timeline, and beware of spoilers for the following games.
What if the story of America was not the one?
Your lack of fear
Within the nations, born not of courage and of brotherhood, but of greed and desire for absolute power.
Even as the leaders of the American War of Independence, we Brits have to admit that things turned out pretty well. After all, without the USA, we wouldn't have the Jimmy Dean, chocolate chip pancakes, and sausage on a stick. And then where would we be? Eating breakfast items separately. Assassin's Creed 3 mostly recreated this period of history as it should, apart from the bit where every significant historical moment was attended by a surly teenager and or his pushy dad.
Well, you'd best get after him then. No. I will watch the prisoners. No, you do it. Why me? Because I said so. Now go.
It's exactly the same when he hasn't tidied his bedroom. But the Assassin's Creed 3 DLC called The Tyranny of King Washington imagined a grim alternate history, not where Britain won the War of Independence, but in which George Washington realises that the only problem with being president is that you have to worry about stupid democratic elections. Or better, you just name yourself king instead.
Your Highness, some of the people are attacking the pillar. This is madness. Sacrifice my entire life for them.
What I love about him is how he hasn't let it change him. Naturally, this all goes exceptionally badly, with Washington marching across the land, massacring people, and generally being a bloodthirsty maniac, instead of the level-headed military leader he was in the main game.
The obliteration of these rebels will be but a foretaste of the feast to come.
Naturally, Connor has to stop him via 6 to 7 additional hours of Assassin's Creed 3. But what's intriguing is how the Tyranny of King Washington is a historically realistic what-if scenario, and its vision of what might have happened if Washington really had gone mad with power is totally plausible.
bear.
Apart from the ghost bear, yes.
At the Dark Lord's command, his Nazgûl now hasten to Mount Doom. They obey but a single deadly aim: to slay Frodo and gain the ring, now that it lies within Sauron's grasp.
The Lord of the Rings movies are great and all, but if you ever found yourself secretly rooting for the bad guys and wishing that Sauron would describe the Shire and boost a bunch of hobbits' faces off, the Lord of the Rings Conquest the game is a straightforward, rather dull retelling of the events of the film, with various beautiful people, with inspirational things, and also sometimes ruminated on the corrupting nature of power.
The Dark Lord compelled many into his service, including Saruman, a once great and wise wizard.
Finish that do-gooder nonsense though, and you unlocked the Rise of Sauron campaign, which asked, what if Frodo didn't destroy the ring, and instead hung onto it, and then Sauron's forces went absolutely apeshit and conquered the entirety of Middle-earth? The answer to that what if, by the way, is it would be awesome.
We have the Witch King's mask. Lord Sauron shall now call him back. Take it to the forge.
The campaign kicks off with you killing Frodo as a ring wraith. Then moves on to you smashing up Rivendell as an orc. Ends with you striding into the Shire and owning a bunch of hobbits.
Destroy every hobbit.
Before finally taking control of Sauron himself, give Gandalf a well-earned tonking. Hey, guess he was just a conjurer of cheap tricks after all. Once you've truly doomed the free peoples of Middle-earth, all that's left to do is sit back and enjoy the happy ending.
This leaves no more for this happy race. Their hobbit holes are now tombs, their party trees kingdom, and those who survive are now enslaved by the Dark Lord Sauron.
I mean, happy for Sauron. Definitely not happy for the
Treebeard was in the end no match for the fury of the orcs. He now serves as a bond, into which half those who did not fight in this war shall now become the final victims. Their homes shall be burned, and the future of their children shall be sacrificed upon Sauron's cruel altar. Death and ruin are all that shall remain, for the Dark Lord's cruelty will know no limits, and in the end all shall be destroyed.
Wow, okay, starting to feel a little guilty now. Let's see why Peter Jackson didn't go with this for the theatrical release. Back before Disney bought Lucasfilm, if a movie, book, or game had the Star Wars logo on it, it almost certainly became part of the official expanded universe, no matter how bad it was, which is how Jabba the Hutt ended up with a son called Stinky the Hutt. But some things are too extreme even for the Star Wars expanded universe, which is why the Force Unleashed downloadable content was all absolutely non-canon. Instead, it explored an alternate version of Star Wars history, starring the evilest version of the Force Unleashed lead character Starkiller, and posed various what-if questions. The main one being, what if everything... More specifically, the DLC for both the Force Unleashed and its sequel imagines what would happen if the Emperor's apprentice Starkiller who defeated and or killed every single one of your fan-favourite Star Wars characters. First of all, Boba Fett gets exploded with one of his own rockets. Then, Obi-Wan Kenobi gets impaled with a lightsaber. And fed into the engines of the Millennium Falcon. And then has his Force Ghost disintegrated just for good measure. Finally, Starkiller chops off Luke Skywalker's hand and turns into the dark side.
Very good.
I mean, if he's going to be your apprentice, maybe just let him keep the hand. You only have to buy him a new one. Worse still, we thought on these Steam DLC continued this continuum, killing off Chewbacca and then showing what it would be like if someone plugged Han Solo and jammed a lightsaber to his chest. Join! Is it a spoiler to say spoilers? If you're trying to find a ray of light in an unrelenting misery, though, the Force Awakens DLC did offer something that fans always wanted to see. Princess Leia in an honest-to-goodness lightsaber duel. So awesome! Well, it was good while it lasted. I'm gonna go and watch the prequel to cheer myself up.
low-budget third-person shooter wearing a Resident Evil Halloween costume. Operation Raccoon City allowed you to which was an evil umbrella strike force with such imaginative call signs as Vector and Spectre. Also, there was one whose real name was Hector. No, really. The game also saw a welcome 2012 return of 1998 era Nick Kennedy. That's when he was picking up work on the side as a young Leonardo DiCaprio lookalike, rather than the last time we saw him, where he was literally the only half-decent thing in Resident Evil 6. He's cancelled out by 10 minutes. Playing 3D Wolfpack campaign, your mission is to capture a million runaway child Sherry Birkin and execute Leon Kennedy in a dramatic final confrontation.
Umbrella? Money?
Succeeding your mission, and Leon is killed in a heartbreaking, poignant scene where you circle straight around him, filling him with as much small arm fire as he can until he falls over. As if that wasn't bad enough, once Leon is dead, Claire Redfield also gets shot protecting Sherry Birkin, and there's another charge to Sherry Birkin's many, many crimes.
Sorry, orders.
Still, it doesn't have to be the absolute worst of all the possible alternate timelines. You can turn against your Umbrella Paymasters and decide to let Leon and Claire live.
You weren't the leverage we thought you were. Umbrella's turned on us already. It's time we stabbed them in the back.
What about Sherry?
Keep her. We've got other plans.
Oh, who are we kidding? Any timeline in which you have to play Operation Raccoon City is already the darkest.
Say that the post-apocalyptic future for humanity imagined by the Terminator series is pretty bleak at the best of times. Nuclear fallout, killer robots, I mean, nuclear fallout anywhere. It's like we're back to the top of the old-fashioned way. Man, I can't believe we used to have to live like this. Throughout the entire Terminator series, though, even in this terrible, irradiated wasteland, there's hope. Hope that rests on the shoulders of one man with one incredibly boring name, John Connor.
You know who I am.
John Connor, leader of the Resistance.
What, was Cyrus T. Logan? It's not mine. Third-person shooter Terminator 3 Redemption mostly followed the events of the movie, apart from one moment where it took an abrupt left turn into Bleaksville, USA. In it, the Terminator you're playing as gets flung by the TX into an electromagnetic time displacement machine and sent to an alternate 2032, which is somehow even worse than the regular one. this version of 2032, both John Connor and his wife Kate Brewster have been killed, humanity has been completely wiped out, and presumably Skynet is just sitting around playing computer chess with itself. You can tell this is the extra bad version of the apocalypse because the sky is red. Fortunately, your plucky Arnold Schwarzenegger robot manages to send himself back from this alternate timeline hellscape to 2003, saving John Connor and ensuring the survival of the resistance leader for at least one more movie and its associated video game tie-in.
I'm bad.
All's well that ends well. And hey, could have been worse. We could have been resting all of humanity's hope on this guy.
Take this. The weapon shoots armor-piercing projectiles. It'll get you started.
I guess the ancient piece of wisdom, look where you're going, was lost during the apocalypse.
Oh my goodness.
Every recruit must go through a secret ritual we call the joining in order to become a Grey Warden. The joining is dangerous. I cannot speak more of it except to say that you will learn all in good time.
Seminal 1995 romantic drama